Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. It is me, Faz, back with another show. It's been a while. It has been a while indeed, but there's lots and lots to get onto this evening about the takeover. Lots of quotes coming out from different accounts. Obviously, David Beckham as well coming out and doing an interview on CNBC that I'm going to touch on. Is it Sir Jim Ratcliffe? Is it Sheikh Jassim? Who is it going to be? But I'll be honest. For me, I'll start off with this. It is absolutely draining. It is international break. We just won a game before we went to international break. And oh my God, how surprising that takeover news comes out soon as international break starts. I'll touch on some of the quotes from Amrabat as well. I'll touch on some of the stuff from Harry Maguire and give you my 2 pence. I'll speak on the next run of games coming up for Manchester United and how Eric Ten Hag could turn this around, considering there are some of the injured players who are coming back as well. But straight off the back, let me just get into this Sir Jim Ratcliffe news. How surprising that Bloomberg coming out and saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's new offer has put him ahead in the race. Discussions with the Glazers and their advisors are ongoing about the structure of the deal. The way this deal is going to be structured as well is Sir Jim Ratcliffe's recent offer is a minority stake more attractive to the Glazers than Sheikh Jassim's bid of 100%. A meeting is going to take place to discuss the offer in the next few days. You know what? I'll be honest. It just, frankly, it really drains me. I think there's something else that's come out as well. The producer has just sent me. I'm just going to bring it up for you guys. Thank you, producer, for sending this through as well. And this is from Mike Keegan, and the report says, and the tweet says, I heard what I heard was that negotiations with those interested remained ongoing, with Sheikh Jassim's team continuing talks. Doesn't really say much though, does it? It doesn't really say much. Look, me as a Manchester United fan, I'm gonna start off with this, right? I'm gonna just lay it out. I'm very honest with you all. I'm very straight up. I can't hide my feelings. I think it's remixed. I think it's sucking the Manchester United takeover news dry until I see an actual takeover where it's reported on the likes of Sky Sports and says Manchester United's been taken over by such a person, or Manchester United have got Sir Jim Ratcliffe who's come in. Until then, I'll be deadly honest. It goes through one ear and comes out through the other. But it's what's interesting to me in the midst of all of this. What's interesting is the David Beckham interview. I will be honest, it gets me a little bit excited. I don't know about you all, but I've always felt like, should we be open to former players of Manchester United coming in when a takeover is happening? Should we accept former players to sit on the board and XYZ? Some people are for it, some people are not. David Beckham's done well with his Inter Miami team. He's concentrating on that. He clearly has a relationship with Qatar. I remember, was it a year ago when David Beckham did Visit Qatar promotional video? Obviously, he's got connections with Qatar via PSG as well, where he's had a good spell. And actually, maybe David Beckham would be a great face for Qatar to bring in when they're taking over, if they're taking over Manchester United. But one thing for sure, what's funny is, and again, big up to Fabrizio Romano, big up to all the journalists who work hard and put out news constantly. But the remix of news is something that I do not like, and I will call it out when I see it. For you and for me. As a Manchester United fan, the fact that Bloomberg have come out and said Sir Jim Ratcliffe's offer is attractive, okay, because he's made a new offer. One, that tells me that clearly nothing has been done over the past 8-9 months, a year nearly, of this takeover situation. And it also, number two, seems like to me that the Glazers are like we've called them leeches before. We've called them all the names, all the respectful, horrible names that we can call them. But what it comes down to is they're really just honestly don't have a clue what they want to do with the club. And I feel sorry for Sheikh Jassim. I really do. I've said this before as well, if you guys remember when I was doing the shows before. How frustrating must it be for him, who's said it before, it's come out before, this is a take it or leave it offer. What I am offering, I feel is fair. What I am offering, I feel is above asking price, considering the state the club is in. Yet they keep going back and forth. And there's also a feeling, there's somewhat of a feeling amongst the Sheikh Jassim camp, the Glazer camp, that maybe Sheikh Jassim might up his bid. And this again comes from Bloomberg, and this comes from Walter Bloomberg as well, who says there's still a chance that Sheikh Jassim could raise his bid. Again, pulling on strings again and again. Big up to the gaffer, Mark Goldbridge, who is in the chat as well, says Glazers do know what they want. They want Sir Jim so they can stay. But you say that, Mark, you say that they know what they want. Well, if they knew that, Mark, why would they wait and wait and wait? Sir Jim Ratcliffe has gone to the Glazers' house to have a conversation. If you know that's what you want, wouldn't you accept it already? Wouldn't you have ironed out the deal already? Don't forget, during pre-season, it had come out that the Glazers will concentrate on the takeover or this situation once pre-season is done. I remember those reports. The reason why I say they don't know what they want, because why are they constantly waiting? And also the structure of this deal is over the course of the years, Sir Jim Ratcliffe will take over more percentage in the club or whatever the complications is. It's a slow process to acquire Manchester United. And Joel and Avram or whoever it is feel like they have a sentimental connection to Manchester United, so they wanted to keep control. Well, if that's the case, until Sheikh Jassim offers you a ridiculous £7-8 billion, I guess it's going to be the same back and forth for the rest of the year. It is good. So if that's the case, me as a Manchester United fan, I'm not going to pay any attention to it, because it's just, again, recycle, recycle, recycle. Fabrizio Romano came out with the interview and with a video, and a lot of people had said under that video that, Fabrizio, you are saying that the takeover stuff is close, but you said that months ago. Same thing with, for example, the tweet that Mike Keegan has just put out and said negotiations with those interested remained ongoing, with Sheikh Jassim's team continuing talks. It's just talk, yappa, yappa, yappa. For the last 1 year, all you've done is talk. Yet you have failed to establish that if you want Sir Jim Ratcliffe, we'll just accept him. Just accept him, because you know what the terms are. You know how much money Sir Jim can offer you. You know what percentage you're going to give him. Then accept it. And you know how funny it is that some of the Glazers sold their shares, yet they've decided not to go and invest back into the club. When was it? Was it Darcy Glazer that sold £100 million or something? There was an X amount of figure that Darcy Glazer had sold of their shares. They could have invested a part of those shares, a part of those profits back into the club, and they didn't. Go and check that up as well. These guys really don't care at all about the club. To the point, big up Ed Woodward says, yes, the sister. To the point where, if this is how it's going to go again and again, where Sir Jim Ratcliffe now has said, okay, I'll take a minority stake and I'll negotiate with you on how you stay in the club. Well, funny enough, one of the main pet peeves and one of the main aggravations that I have towards Sir Jim Ratcliffe is he started off his PR by saying and partnering with that gentleman who was Glazers out, who was standing in protest in the stadium. Chat, remind me who that person was. I remember. And all of a sudden now he's turned around and now he's tried to acquire Manchester United by getting in bed with the Glazers. I'm totally against it. You know what? Funny enough, maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a good owner. Let's go with that. Maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a good owner, but you know full well how much the fans don't want anything to do with the Glazers. You know full well, and you're a multi-billionaire. If you can't put the money where your mouth is and take over the club and go toe to toe with Sheikh Jassim, what are we really doing here? And that's the reason why we want Qatar more than anything, is because we want someone that will eradicate the Glazers from Manchester United. It's as simple as that. and the Glazers could go away and do whatever they want with their lives. We just want an owner that will come and give us a fresh restart. Because I remember Mark saying in one of his shows, I think it was yesterday, where he said he's tired, and I'm tired as well, of rinsing through managers under this ownership because it doesn't go anywhere. We're still in the same stagnated period. I think Mark had put another, or the admin had put another chat as well. This is literally breaking news from business outlet. If you don't want to watch, fine, but stop it. Oh, thank you. Is there any other chat from Mark? I don't think so. I hope I haven't missed it. I think there's a couple super chats as well. There's 2 super chats. Make sure you get your super chats in and get your opinions in. If you have something to say, if you agree or disagree, put your super chats in and I will most definitely read it out. Someone says, Kay says, hats off, Matt Goldbridge. You said it. I think this super chat was before the live even started, so big up to you for that. You said, Matt Goldbridge, you said it first. We're here from the loser first, then facts from a biz newspaper magazine. If this is true, fans better step up in South Florida and Old Trafford. Voices heard. And Tumbleweed, member for 12 months, says, spin, so they can get more pounds, facts. Don't know how they're getting... It's just a load of PR. Why is it coming out during international break as well? And funny enough, yeah, you know what's funny? Funny enough that I get people who are apparently close to the Qatari, businessmen and Sheikh Jassim and his people. You get people on Twitter saying it's 99% done. Well, if it's 99% done, where's the 1%? It's either done or it isn't. Why are you toying with the fan base? Why are you toying with our emotions? But moving on to the David Beckham stuff, though, what I do find interesting, and I will say this, is how David Beckham worded certain things in his interview. So listen to this. David Beckham was asked about the takeover of Manchester United and if he feels something will happen. And David says, I quote, he says, I think something will happen. I think there will be a takeover. I think it's the right time. I think we all have our own opinion on who should take over the club. But for me, he is the one. For me, it's the one who cares about the club the most and who will get back to where it should be. Concentrate on the sentence where he says, I think there will be a takeover. David, he's a man, he's a good-looking man, and he's most definitely a smart man. And him saying that, and all of a sudden this connection between him and Qatar coming into light, it's not been like he's been in connection with Qatar all the way through these negotiations, all the way from the start. We've had a little bit here and there, but now it seems really, really solid about David Beckham being connected to this Qatar party. And what it also seems is how he says, I think something will happen and I think there will be a takeover. Does that mean he believes Qatar will be taken over? I hope so. I think this is the only bit of light that I've seen. He also says, involved in the Qatar bid, ? So far, there have been no discussions about it. I have had a long-standing relationship with Qatar due to my time at PSG. People are going to make the connection between the two and are obviously going to talk about that. But there hasn't been a discussion yet. Wonder what the discussions will be. A couple of more super chats. Anthony says, Sir Jim is being used to try and get more money from Qatar. 100% agree with you on that, Anthony. Thompson says, Mike Keegan says, conversation ongoing with Qatar. Conversation's been ongoing, Thompson. Conversation's been ongoing for months and months. Conversation's been ongoing for a year. It just doesn't go anywhere, does it? All of a sudden now, Sir Jim, I wish someone out there has an Excel spreadsheet of the timeline of Sir Jim Ratcliffe first, Sheikh Jassim first, Sir Jim Ratcliffe first, Sheikh Jassim first, and the back and forth. If someone has that, if someone can make that happen, I'll give you a Manchester United shirt, honestly. Because I've kept a little note in my head about how many times we've seen this same report of someone is first, someone else is second, and then someone else is first, and then someone else is second. Oh, the Glazers will go and look at this after preseason. Oh, Eric Ten Hag has said he can advise the Glazers. Heard it all before. One thing I will be honest though is straight up, and I think the Qatar, and I agree with the gentleman who sent the super chat before. What was his name? Anthony. I definitely agree with him. Is that the Glazers are using this method of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's PR of back and forth to try and get Sheikh Jassim to up his bid. And respect to Sheikh Jassim for holding his own and saying, you know what, I'm not paying anymore. These are shrewd, multi-billion pound businessmen. They are not going to let their emotions take control of a negotiation where they say, okay, go on then, I'll pay you 6-7 billion. Nope, not happening. It's literally, for me anyways, my opinion is it's come down to seeing how much more the Glazers can stay. And the Glazers have stayed here when we were in Europa League, let's be honest. They were here. It's not like if Erik ten Hag doesn't come into Champions League position, touch wood, that doesn't happen. I hope he obviously does, but I don't think the Glazers will leave if we get knocked out of Champions League and if we don't end up in top 4. I don't think so, because the share prices keep going up and down, and they go really down sometimes, yet we don't hear really anything. And people say, oh my god, the share prices have gone down, something is happening, oh this is happening, oh that is happening, it is happening. Man, none of you know zilch. My opinion. This is my opinion. I'm entitled to it. And I believe none of you know zilch. It is the same remix stuff that you're toying with the fan base. That's all it is. The only latest bit that I will take anything from is this David Beckham interview. I'll be honest. And David Beckham's got with respect to David, he's got a Netflix series out. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's actually amazing. I really enjoyed it. Big up to David. But it's also him trying to get into the limelight so he can promote his series. He doesn't really need to because he's David Beckham, but it's funny how it just comes into light now. That's what I find more funny. I look at things in a very different perspective. Very, very different perspective. Couple of more super chats. Let me just bring them up quickly. Who is it? Rory says, if Jim can structure a deal that keeps the two Chuckle Bros in and don't fall afoul of the minority shareholders legal wise, that will be done. I'm no financial expert. I just have a savings account, a bank account, and a couple credit cards. I'm no financial expert, but Rory, like I said it before, if this was the case, if the case was that the Glazers were going to go with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they would have started the negotiations of this process a long time ago. The fact that it's come out that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's new offer has put him ahead in the race. It's a new offer. It's not like it's a previous offer. So all that period that the Glazers spent considering Sheikh Jassim's offer and considering Sir Jim's original offer, all those months, what did you guys do? What were you really doing, Glazers and the foundation that are and the organization that are advising them, Rain Group? What were you doing all these months? Because how come Sir Jim Ratcliffe needs to put a new offer for you to then consider anything else? Think of it like that. And then now they're expecting, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe's new offer puts him ahead in the race, what if Sheikh Jassim puts a new bid in? They had a round of bidding. They extended the deadline. They said bidding is done, but apparently it's a private bidding. So now Sir Jim Ratcliffe can still bid, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff is absolutely pathetic. And this is one thing that we don't need. Not even during international break, we don't need. But Sir Jim Ratcliffe, don't want you. Plain and simple. Don't want you. Not someone I'm interested in. Not someone I look forward to owning Manchester United. I don't think he has the financial capability as well to run a club this size. And I think he's two-faced. Plain and simple. I'll be honest. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has played a two-faced part. And I don't like it. And funny enough, you now see content creators who are close to Manchester United saying Qatar is close. This is what I find very, very absurd. I find it, again, no disrespect to anyone, nothing against anyone. Everybody do their thing, but we get content creators now who say Qatar is close. Like, what do you know? Who Who's telling you this information? You have top tier 1 journalists saying the negotiations are ongoing, talks are ongoing. Yet you have content creators saying Qatar is close. It's honestly it's silly, in my opinion. It's silly. Jonathan says, I'm new to this channel. Is this Mark Goldbridge? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Just with a tan. That's the difference. And short hair. Anyways, moving on. On a positive note, though, couple players coming back after international duty, which I'm really looking forward to. Looking forward to Amad Diallo, who's posted a picture on social media saying, just stay a little longer before returning. What I have heard anyways is that Amad may be going on loan, but it all depends what happens with the Sancho situation. If Jadon Sancho is moved on from Manchester United come January time, and I'm going to touch on the Jadon Sancho stuff as well for you lot. If Jadon Sancho is moved on in January, then there would be a space for Amad Diallo to be able to see some minutes here and there. But again, for the development of Amad, it's best he goes on loan, because we do have Rashford, we have Garnacho, we have Pellistri, we have Anthony. But then, you know, part of me also thinks, because of the sheer amount of injuries we've had this season, you know, now we regret. James says no, Amad stays. I like that, James, because now I'm in the mindset of we should have kept Alvaro Fernandez. We should have kept Alvaro Fernandez. And I was an advocate. Remember, I was an advocate of seeing Amad go on loan, because he needs to develop. He needs to play first team minutes. He needs to be playing at a level where he can show his class. But I now regret that, I'll be honest, because of injuries. Amad Diallo's 21 years old, for the people that are asking in the chat. But I'm really looking forward to Amad Diallo coming back. I know Amad. I remember when I said about the Amad Diallo injury, was it me who, I think it was me, when I said Amad Diallo's going to be out for a few months. But it's glad to see some players back, regardless of anything. And during preseason as well, it was nice to see him. It's just a shame that the injury struck him. We'll have Malacia coming back as well. We'll have Reguilon coming back as well, that I'm really looking forward to. Am I missing someone? Because I don't think Luke Shaw will be back just yet. He'll be a month or two more. Martinez is very unfortunate. He won't be until next year. But having Malacia and Reguilon back will be a great addition. Great addition. And I remember I was saying it. I don't know, Beth did say that if Reguilon kept performing, we should keep him. But I said it from the get-go. We're getting Arsenal's doctor to fix Tottenham Hotspur player, and that's exactly what's happened. That is exactly what's happened. Let me just move on from that as well. There's a couple of things I want to touch on Jadon Sancho as well. You know, just very quickly on the Jadon Sancho stuff, right? Varane as well. Yeah, thank you very much, Varane as well. Totally forgot about Varane, that he had injury. That's another one. You know what? Rafa Varane, it saddens me. It really saddens me that a player of his caliber is now come to a stage of his career where he's not able to play the amount of games that we require him to play. And there's nothing against him at all. People think when I speak on these matters that I have a agenda against him. His contract is up until 2025. How are we going to be able to sustain him? It's not possible. And he's 30 years old. He turns 31 in, 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, 7 months. It's a shame, absolute shame. And I said it from early last season. I said that he shouldn't be our starting centre back, simply because we should be looking at a proper centre back who can play game in, game out. I think there's a couple more super chats as well. Let me just address them quickly. Andrew, thank you very much for the super chat. Andrew says, can the Glazers manipulate the share price through media stories in order for traders connected to them to buy low and sell high? Andrew, that's a great question. I am no financial advisor, so I can't really say much. What I will suggest is ask the people who invest in Bitcoin. Ask the people who invest in Dogecoin and all of those people. Because in my opinion, I think if you do that, isn't that market manipulation? Someone tell me in the chat. I'm not really educated on this, so I can't really say much. But if you're an investor or anything as such, maybe comment down below and educate us. But if they're using the media to manipulate the share price, isn't that market manipulation? Because I'm sure you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to hamper the price of a stock or anything or a bond or whatever by any means at all, because it's unfair. It's unfair. If you're found intentionally manipulating the market, you'll be fined. As Ed Woodward says, well, I'm sure Ed Woodward, you would know everything about it, wouldn't you? You absolute pillock. Ed Woodward left us in an absolute mess. Absolute mess, Ed Woodward. I don't even want to get into it. But yeah, Jadon Sancho. I've heard a couple of teams in Europe are looking at him. That's all I've heard so far. One thing for sure though is, look, I think Dimitri Mitchell put a tweet out the other day saying that he feels that Jadon Sancho has put out the comment that he put out not against the manager but against the media. And funny enough to me, I don't think that's the case, Dimitri. I don't really think that's the case. A former player of Manchester United, he's probably close to some of the players himself. Still, he's probably got some friends in Manchester United, which is very natural. But I don't think that's the case, because if that was the case, why is it so difficult for Jadon Sancho to just apologize? And you know what's funny? Even more funnier to me is, especially in a moment when you've had a row with Erik ten Hag, and Anthony's not in the squad, who's Erik ten Hag's number one player on that side, why wouldn't you apologize just to win your spot back and perform on the pitch and show what you can do? It's a very catch-22 situation, because I'm fully aware managers don't always get things right. Managers are not 100% accurate every time. There could be things that managers do differently, for sure. But also, the player might feel a certain way as well. But in a situation where this is so public, it's only right for you to apologize and come out. How many weeks has it been? Has it not been 6 weeks? Community, if I'm mistaken, please do correct me. I think it's been 6 weeks since the comment had come out, or 5 weeks since the comment had come out from Jadon Sancho that blew up the internet. Yet he has still not addressed it. And I think, in my opinion, there's something bigger than just between him and the manager that's going on. And maybe someday we'll find out, because how can a player be so stubborn, especially when he's not getting into the team already? How? Why? What gives you the thinking process that you are that person in the team when you are not even being selected? So why would you not just simply apologize? Even if you're right, let's say for argument's sake, even if you are right, Jadon, why would you not apologize just to shut people up via performing on the pitch? And you know how funny thing is, right? You see the David Beckham documentary, and you see how David kept pursuing and kept going and going and going. The whole country wanted him evaporated. So many people, hundreds and thousands of people, millions of people wanted him done. Yet he kept persevering, he kept his resilience, and he kept pushing. And he pushed, and he got his captaincy as well later on in his career for England. He had a good, solid career, and now he's doing well for himself. Whereas Jadon Sancho, I mean, if anything, you should be watching the David Beckham documentary to gain some inspiration. You have players like Cristiano Ronaldo, who didn't blink an eye when it came to apologizing to the manager, because he understands there's hierarchy in football. But with you, it always seems difficult. There's a couple of comments from Sofian Amrabat as well that I wanted to speak on. But before I get into that, I want to touch on this Harry Maguire topic. Harry Maguire. What can I say about Harry Maguire? You know what? I'll start off with this. First and foremost, I think over the course of all the interviews that Harry Maguire has done, over the course of all the things Harry Maguire has said, all the news articles that have come out of Harry Maguire, his whole career in Manchester United, his whole career in England, and whatever it is, I actually have started to respect Harry quite a bit. I'll be honest. And you know why? Is he doesn't give up on himself. No matter what anybody says, He doesn't give up on himself. Like that mentality of, you know what? The whole of the fan base don't like me. The manager doesn't pick me. I only get here you go minutes. But you know what? My stats are there and I keep performing. The captaincy got stripped from me, whatever it is, but I just keep performing. Testament to his mentality, I'll be honest. It's a shame though that he's not the type of player that we require. It's just, honestly, it's just I'm not here to just go in on Harry Maguire because I don't gain anything from it. I don't. I can only be as honest on camera to you guys as I can be. But he says, my record under this manager speaks for itself. I haven't started as many games as I'd like, but my win percentage when I played is ridiculously high. Yes, some people will look at it as egotistical. Some people will look at it as extreme pride. But when you're a footballer playing at that level for this kind of club, you have to take confidence from anything that you can. That's how I look at it. You have to. You're not getting the minutes that you think you should be playing or whatever it is. Even when you think you should be playing, he doesn't. But if he needs that, to motivate himself, then so be it. Even during preseason, I remember, who remembers that report that came out that Harry Maguire was doing extra sessions with a certain someone before preseason started? Testament to his career. But again, Harry, it's a shame. It's a shame that you are not the player that this manager requires. It's a shame that the manager has to say things in a certain way in the public to say how good you are for the team, but we all know it's inevitable. You can't hide under the lights that you are not good enough for Manchester United. You may be for West Ham, but you're not for Manchester United. That's not the direction that we're going in. And it's funny that you say there was a move available, but it just never got agreed because you wanted money as well, Harry. Let's not beat around the bush. I'm surprised you didn't say that. I don't know why, Harry, you failed to address that you wanted X amount of millions before you left Manchester United. And yeah, it's fair because you're contracted. It's fair. So you wouldn't have been lying. But why not mention that? And that's what I have the problem with. That's where the problem comes in, is if you are able to address your stats, that, oh, my stats are high when I play, sure, whatever. But if that's the case, Harry, mention that I also think that the deal didn't go through because contractually I'm obliged to certain things that I don't think I was receiving. If you're going to be honest, be deadly honest. But you won't, will you? And no, again, it's not the fans coming at Harry Maguire. We give him credit when he performs well. Very, very, very well done for giving us the assist against Brentford. He had a solid game prior to that as well with Manchester United. I just in this season, I just think it's eventually going to be a game where people are going to see you make a mistake, and it's just going to come back to square one, where they're going to say, right, well, Harry, we knew you were this type. We knew that you're not good enough, and look where we've ended up now. And it's only a matter of time before that happens. Same thing with Johnny Evans, by the way. Don't forget, when Johnny Evans was in Manchester United, when Smalling was in Manchester United, they made a lot of mistakes that people didn't like. They made a lot of mistakes that people did not like. And funny enough now, how people are praising Smalling and Johnny Evans, but when they used to be in Manchester United back in them days, people didn't like them. They didn't. A couple of more super chats. Let me address them very quickly. Where is it? 1102 Jen 1102 says, we all have problems, and now I have COVID. I thought COVID is over. I thought COVID is over. No. Don't scare me. Don't scare me, please. Are you sure you've done a COVID test and not a pregnancy test? Please double check, double confirm, because don't give me this COVID. Well, then again, Manchester United, they performed really well during COVID, but please, I'm not willing to wear a mask again. I'm not willing to wear a mask again. As much as Manchester United's performance has been very, very, very shaky, I still like going to Old Trafford. Please please recheck, reconsider. That's and get well soon. By the way, of course, most importantly, get well soon. Get your meds. Have some soup. And I wish you good health. But it's not COVID. It's probably just a headache. It's probably just a headache. Probably just a headache, mate. Slow sports news. Hope you're doing well. Not spoken to you in a while. Says Eric Ten Hag gave Sancho time. Excuse me. Why did I cough? I'm very PTSD with this stuff. I'll be honest. I'm very, very PTSD with this. Please, you guys have scared the hell out of me. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a minute. God bless me. I love doing shows with you guys. You guys just you all are amazing. I love the community. I love the community. How have I read a comment on COVID and ended up coughing? Like, it could only happen to me. Slow Sports News says Eric Ten Hag gave Sancho time to sort out his game, sending him off for not 2 weeks. It was 3 months. Slow Sports News. It was 3 months. And when he came back, he received a standing ovation with Eric Ten Hag holding his shoulders like, this is for you. Time to go. Very true. Very true. And I remember that famous picture of Eric Ten Hag smiling and Jadon Sancho smiling and the celebration, when he scored after he came back as well. It was all just sunshine and rainbows. It was all sunshine and rainbows, but it's just not worked out. It's just not happened. And like I say, I feel from the manager's side, he's done absolutely as much as he can, but he has a level of patience and tolerance as well. There is an expectation for Manchester United, and if that's the case, you should be adhering to that, Jadon. And if it's not happening, you shouldn't be challenging the manager in public. But it was 3 months those times. Samuel says, when are they choosing their favorite bidder? Samuel Francis Mugula says, when are they choosing their favorite bidder? Well, Samuel, I have news for you. Let me just call Avram Glazer. How about that? I'll just call Avram Glazer and I'll ask him, hiya, mate. It's me, Faz, from the United Stand, the biggest football fan channel in the world. And I'd like to know, when are you picking? Because I'll be honest, Sam, I have no idea, mate. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, where was I? Harry Maguire. He's a couple more quotes as well from Harry that I actually want to touch on. Harry says, listen, it's been tough. I want to play games. I want to feel important to the club, and I want to feel important to the rest of the team. At the moment, I haven't been playing anywhere near as much as I'd like. It's the bottom of it. I've just got to make sure I am ready to take the opportunities when they come along. Again, testament to his character. I have belief in my ability and what I have done in my career, as every player should. Every player who is on the bench should believe they should be starting. Otherwise, they wouldn't be playing at a high level. I am no different. If you look back at my last 15 to 20 starts for the club and country, I would be happy to sit here and say, I'm really happy with my performances. Interesting. But honestly, at the moment, I'm fully focused on 2 games for England, 2 big games. Well, nobody's going to watch England versus Australia, I think. Then I'm fully focused on fighting and trying to get back my place at Manchester United and helping the team climb up the league to where we should be. What's the next England game? Because honestly, I've fallen out of love with England because of Gareth Southgate, I'll be honest. Absolutely. They've got Italy. I'll try and watch that, the England-Italy game, but I'm not watching England-Australia. I mean, Gareth Southgate has absolutely ruined my relationship with England football team. Absolutely made me miserable about watching England play football. So I'm not watching many of the games unless it's a big, big game. Another one on Jadon Sancho as well. This is from Fabrizio that came out today, and a departure of Jadon Sancho in January is becoming more and more concrete possibility. United believe this is the best option for all parties. At the moment, there are no discussions with other clubs. There is always a possibility of changing the situation, but it seems complicated. And like I say, what is these complications that's going on? I don't understand. Really, really don't understand, and don't understand why Jadon would be dragging it out at all. Couple of quotes from Amrabat as well that I want to touch on. It's nice to hear from a player um, who's just recently joined Manchester United, but I will be honest though, him playing left back wasn't pleased. I wasn't pleased at all. I can't wait till I see some solid run of games for Sofian Amrabat playing in the midfield role as well. And I want to see him grow into that position and see how he can benefit the team. Eric Ten Hag is very stubborn with his midfield, with the choice of players he has. Whether you call it favourites, whether you call it stubbornness, I don't want to say favourites. I want to say stubbornness, but I do know managers have favourites. It is what it is. But I want to see how we can balance this midfield out. And a lot of people say Kobe Mino when I mention midfield balance, and I don't understand why or how. Honestly, I don't get it. On what planet do you guys see Kobe Mino bringing balance to this midfield at his age when he's barely played any minutes with the first team? Barely. Please, we need to be so careful, so careful with Kobe Mino, because we know he has the talent. We know what a player he is. We know the abilities and attributes he consists, but we must be careful. Must be careful. Amrabat says, we train a lot with what the manager asks us and the way he wants to play. We put a lot of time and energy into that, and I said there are a lot of good things. Of course, we are not perfect yet, but I think nobody's perfect. It needs time. He also says, I also think it's the results. If the results come, it will only be faster that the confidence will grow. That's football. It's like that. And then he says, we have a very long season, a long way to go. I think we have played good games, a lot of positives and good things. Maybe with a bit more luck, we would have won the games that we didn't win. So I have a lot of confidence, and I think, yeah, we work very hard every day. Nobody will give it to you. You have to work for it, but we work very hard, and I believe it will be fine. It will be good. Couple of positive things from him, but I do want to concentrate on the thing where he said about the results will bring confidence. I think, you know what, the Manchester United players are most definitely happy that they got a win against Brentford, but in the back of each player's mind will be that we could have lost this game, and it's not a convincing performance, it's not a convincing win. Last season, we had loads of fantastic results that helped us through the season. The City at home, the Liverpool at home, the Tottenham Hotspur at home, the Barcelona. All of those games massively helped the team. Obviously, we had off the pitch issues with Ronaldo. We had a poor, poor loan spell with Wout Weghorst not being able to score, so Marcus Rashford had to do it. A lot of the scoring and the assisting. We had issues here and there. Glazer's not able to bring in the players that we need. We couldn't pay for João Felix's loan fee, whatever. But the wins we had at home absolutely helped us through the season, and I will never ever listen otherwise to whatever anyone says, because that home run that we went on, that midfield trio of Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro really helped us through the season. But now this season, that back-to-back home defeat has probably affected the players a lot. And I remember Mark had mentioned it on one of his shows, that a person, Alan Brazil, is it his name, from TalkSport, had said something about the players may not be believing in the manager's process so far. Obviously, I don't know where the report is from. I don't know, but I can understand a little bit of it. I can. When things aren't going well, it's hard to believe in any process. Gareth Southgate is in the chat. Gareth, mate, what are you doing here, Gareth? You have a game tomorrow. God damn it. Gareth says, and thank you for being a member in the United Stand as well, of course, Gareth, thank you. And we are open to speaking to you on the United Stand, please. Gareth says, Harry really turned it around everything since he got all the hate, fighting for his place and showing what a top lad he is. I want to say a lot of things, Gareth, but you know what? Just don't lose against Australia tomorrow, mate. Don't lose against Australia tomorrow. I don't know what it is that you've got going on with the FA. I don't know why you're still manager of England, but honestly, with the players that we have in the England squad, your selection is questionable, but so are your tactics. And Gareth, that's all I have to say to you. I wish you all the best. Slow Sports News with a super chat says, thank you very much for your super chat, says, is Sancho another Jesse Lingard? Well, that's a very interesting question. I can't say that yet. I can't agree with that yet because Jesse Lingard is 30 years old. Jadon Sancho's got what, 6, 7 years still left? It's got a long way to go. Long way to go. And with Jesse as well, I wish him all the best in Middle East, because in Saudi, because Jesse is an absolute top person. What a top individual he is, a human being, a fantastic human being. Absolutely love him to bits, and I just wish him all the best. And it's a shame that he felt hard done by when he left Manchester United. But with Jadon Sancho, he's got all the opportunities. He knows exactly what he needs to do to win the club, the manager, the fans back, and that is to apologize. Whether you're wrong or right, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you have to swallow. Sometimes you just have to swallow your pride and just get on with it. That's part of being a man, whether you're wrong or right, and just perform on the pitch, and nothing more with the fans love. We don't want to see any player perform badly. We don't want to see any player that comes to Manchester United leave, because nothing more that we want to see the club shine. I don't speak for everyone, but for me, I do have an agenda. And I've said it publicly before. I have an agenda. And my agenda is Manchester United. My agenda is trophies. My agenda is Manchester United being the club that it deserves to be and it once was. And for that reason, Jaden, you should have the same mentality. Also, Slow Sports News, thank you very much for gifting one membership as well. I don't know who got it, but thank you very, very much. I wanted to touch on, in the last bit of the show, the next run of games that we have coming up, and how Erik ten Hag will be able to, or if he can, turn it around. I don't know if the producer is here, but if we could get a poll going, because there are a lot of people who feel like we may not turn this around. There are a lot of people who feel like Jadon Sancho is going to Jadon Sancho is going to outlast Erik ten Hag. There are a lot of people who feel that way too. If we can get a poll, producer, that would be fantastic, please. Do you think Erik ten Hag will turn it around now? In the next run of games. Do you believe that? We've got, straight off the back, we've got Sheffield United, we've got Copenhagen at home, we've got Man City at home straight after that. 3 days, 5 days after Copenhagen. We've got Newcastle just a couple of days after that in the Carabao Cup at home. Then we've got Fulham away. 5 games. Out of them, I would say 3 of them are extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. In order of difficulty, I think Man City is Man City is number 1. It's the most difficult game. I think Newcastle is the second hardest game. FC Copenhagen is the third hardest. And I'd say Fulham, maybe fourth, and then Sheffield, maybe the least difficult. But I don't want to disrespect any team, because, like Ricky would say, and many people will agree, there's no easy games in the Premier League. The reason why Fulham is tough as well, though, is because Fulham are only 1 point behind us. That's all it is. They're only 1 point behind us, and their goal difference is pretty much similar to ours as well. I think it's -4, if I'm not mistaken, Fulham's goal difference, and they'll be at home, so we need to be careful in that game. But one thing I will say, I have an expectation from Erik ten Hag and the team, and I'll say it straight up. Sheffield United, we need to see 3 minimum goals. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how you turn it around. If you really want to turn things around, you turn it around by dispatching the worst team in the Premier League this season, which is Sheffield United. And you dispatch them in ecstatic fashion by beating them at least 3 goals to nil. At least. We have the firepower, we have the players, and we can do it. Yes, Sheffield United gave Tottenham a tough game. You know, people will look at that. You know, they had an okayish game against West Ham, even though they lost. Newcastle, though, Newcastle obliterated them at home. And Fulham, you know, they done their job as well. If Fulham can score 3 against Sheffield United, I don't see why we can't. I mean, some people might say it's narrow-minded thinking. I don't think so. I don't think so. Like I say, Marcus Rashford is well overdue a brace. I think he should be getting on the score sheet. I expect Anthony to get on the score sheet, Bruno to have an assist, Mason Mount, he's had loads of opportunities to score, but it's a shame. It's an absolute shame that the ball's not hit the back of the net for him because of blocks and good defending from the opposition. But I expect 3 goals, minimum. Let me get my vote in as well here. Will Eric Ten Hag turn things around? I'm not going to tell you what my vote is, but it's, okay. Concerning that there is nearly 30% of the people watching this show feel like, well, 27, but nearly 30% of the people watching this show feel like Eric Ten Hag won't be able to turn this around. Right now, like I say, it's not looking good. So Gareth Southgate's back again with the chat. Says Ten Hag needs to go. What did he say? Ten Hag needs to go back to basics. Back 5, sit back and hit long balls. Can I be honest, Gareth? As much as I dislike you as an England manager, I actually think he should have done that, mate. Gareth is so weird. I actually think he should have done that when we had all those injuries instead of playing. And the chat is absolutely loving it. But I actually agree with you that he should have played a back 3. He should have played a back 3 when Reguilon went down injured, instead of using Amrabat in left back and causing us all those problems. I do think that it's a very simple thing, but people don't seem to wrap their heads around it. Why Eric wouldn't do that? But he's got players coming back from injury. He should use the Sheffield United game to straight away get the players bouncing, get the momentum back. Momentum is most definitely important. Galatasaray used that against us. 14 games unbeaten. Now they've gone 15. But there is definitely a lot of weight in what you've said. Is go into a back 5 just to protect conceding goals, and it's not been good for Andre Onana. What's going to be interesting as well is I don't think he's going to drop any players, the ones that we think of, like the likes of Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. I don't think he's going to drop Casemiro as well, because don't forget, Casemiro's not going to be playing against FC Copenhagen for the suspension. So I can see Casemiro playing against Sheffield United. But against FC Copenhagen, it's going to be interesting to see the midfield, how he sets it out. Copenhagen is by far no pushover team. They've scored first in both of their Champions League games. They've scored 2 away against Galatasaray, which is massive. They've scored against Bayern as well first. Both games they didn't end up winning. They didn't end up winning both games. They drew 1, lost 1. But it shows that they can score away from home in a stadium like Galatasaray. Someone's put a tweet in. Is it from Ben Jacobs? Someone's saying check Ben Jacobs. Ben Jacobs has put a tweet out, has he? Let me just bring it up for you all, because I want to make sure I cover it and don't miss out. Bear with me, chat. Let me just bring it up. Yes, he has actually. He's put a tweet out. Producer, where are you? Ben Jacobs says both Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim remain in talks to buy Manchester United. Sources do indicate Ratcliffe has finally made progress, but as previously reported, an improved Qatar bid can't be discounted. Ben then also says, there's more from Ben Jacobs actually on this, and he says, sources, you know what? Before I read this tweet, the amount of time I've read out sources, source. It's become a tongue twister, and to the point where I don't say sources, I say sources. It's like there's been so much Qatar and takeover news and us reading out sources that I end up seeing sources. Anyways, he says sources indicate Ratcliffe has made a strong impression on those running the process, starting with him attending meetings in Manchester. And it's normal Ineos would be engaging more because a number of different and more complex structures have been discussed. If Ratcliffe proceeds with a smaller starting percentage of 25%, he will also likely choose to meet the Glazers' valuation and pay around $1.8 billion, meaning his club valuation is almost $7.5 billion. This could be enough to get him a foot in the door to eventually control. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Ben says, compared to this, sources indicate 9-2 Foundation value Manchester United just over 1 billion less. If Ratcliffe goes that high, Qatar sources stress they will clear the debt and add a binding commitment of pledged investment of at least $1 billion. Qatar also refer to their offer as a clean transaction for 100% of the club. They won't entertain any scenario where the Glazers stay. And sources also indicate paperwork minus actually adding valuation and share percentage has been produced since summer, meaning Qatar are now legally and logistically ready to proceed if chosen. Although both groups deny competitive tension because their bids are so different, Ratcliffe's progress could yet provoke 9-2 Foundation. But as it stands, Ratcliffe is growing in confidence. He can find a structure and valuation that gets a green light before the year is out. Oh my goodness. Ben Jacobs, thank you very, very much. I finally... That's quite a bit of news to consume, and it's a shame it has come towards the end of the show. But oh my, that is a huge bit of news. And you know what? What I find very interesting is the structure that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is willing to go into with the Glazers to just get his foot in the door. As much as we want the Qataris, but this is a lot of information to take in. The Glazers want, the 7.5 billion or the $7 billion evaluation, or the £7 billion evaluation that they have. And if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is willing to pay a certain amount that is staying true to their valuation, then I can see them accepting it. I really can. But again, like Anthony said before, and like many of you say in the chat, this could just be a PR spin. This could just be a simple bit of media manipulation to say, you know what, let's just provoke the Qataris to put a bigger bid in. I won't be surprised. I would not be surprised. The fans will do what they do. We'll have the banners in Stratford End. We'll have the banners over the tunnel, full sale only. We'll do all of the hashtags. We'll do all of the stuff that we've always been doing. But this doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence unless the Qataris come in and say, you know what, fine, we'll give you 6 billion or 6 point something billion. And will they do it is the biggest question of it all. And in my opinion, I don't think so. I really, really don't think so. The way Ben Jacobs has laid out this tweet has made me feel really, really upset. Really, really upset. Because it's clearly identifying that it's in line with the Glazers' valuation. It's in line with having a minority stake and letting the Glazers have still 75% control of the club, and over the years he will gain control. But will he be able to eventually pay up the money that the Glazers want, and how long will it take before the Glazers actually leave is another big question in itself. It's another huge question in itself. Was it a 5-year, 6-year, 10-year? We don't know. How long is this minority stake process going to last for? But it doesn't help us. Have I missed any super chat? No, I haven't. But listen, thank you all for joining. Um, I'll be live again with you all on the United Stand on Saturday evening. So make sure you tune in for that as well. But as it stands, the breaking news is it is Sir Jim Ratcliffe growing in confidence that he may get his foot into the door by acquiring minority stake in Manchester United. If anything breaks, we will be here on the United Stand to bring you the latest breaking news. So make sure you like the video if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure to go and check out all the social media platforms, the United Stand, for any latest Manchester United breaking news. And once the video is up and live, make sure you comment down below how you feel about this news coming out from Ben Jacobs. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Enjoy your Thursday, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, people.